Well, hello and welcome to our latest edition of Fuse Live. My name is Ryan Smith. I'm the director of the Fellowship Fuse in the Science of Engagement here at the University of Texas at Austin. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or the recording. We do longer editions of Fuse Lives about once a month where we take a deep dive into one of the particular practices that teachers learn throughout the fellowship. But today, I wanted to put just a quick video together that shares just the nuts and bolts of what a teachers and fellows experience when they join the program. So, what their summer looks like, what they do during the school year, the coaching that they get in between, what the students in their classrooms do. So, today we're not going to go too far into the research, but we've got other videos on our Substack that go into many of our practices, the research behind our program. Dr. David Yeager, our lead scientific advisor and director here at UT, has several videos on there that really go into those depth. And we'll be doing more of those in the future as well. So if that's what you're looking for, look throughout our Substack. You'll find other videos there. But today, like I said, just want to look at what teachers really experience during the fellowship. So really what we're all about is disrupting that disengagement cycle. And I should back up and say our next cohorts start this coming summer, June 16th through 18th, but we'll get to that in a moment. But disrupting the disengagement cycle, that's our main case that we're making. You know that we're working with teachers across the country right now to really help young people break that cycle that they get into of not wanting to reveal their mistakes, which recontributes to struggles that they have in the classroom. A lot of it built around the way they view themselves, and us as adults, how we contribute to maybe that negative self image. So before we get into the details, just want to look at some of that disengagement cycle in particular, just to level set us before we keep moving forward. Really, what we're trying to address and focus on is that internalized message that so many young people have, that math is hard because I'm bad at math. So they internalize it. It's a part of their character. It's who they are. That's why they're struggling. And of course, if they feel that way, they're going to hide their errors. They're not going to seek help. They're going to avoid retesting. And it's all around that fear of embarrassment, right? That not wanting to be seen by either my teacher, my other students in my classroom, anybody else, especially during those ages that we see in middle school and high school, that we don't want to stand out in an embarrassing way. And of course, if we hide our errors, we're not going to seek that help. We're going to avoid that retesting. We're going to continue to have poor performance. And that cycle just repeats itself along the way. So that fear of embarrassment piece right there, that is the main area where Fuse really intervenes. So that's where we are working with everybody to think through the messages that we use about mistakes, struggles, stress, all those things that we know are important parts, of learning a difficult subject. It could be math, science, could be language arts, whatever it is for you. But that piece of how can we, not contribute maybe to some of that negative self-talk that some of our students might have. So, like I said, in the other videos, we go into a lot more depth on the research and everything here. I want to share a few of our data points before getting into the nuts and bolts about the fellowship itself. What we've seen through the several years that we've been doing Fuse now, Fuse reduces teachers' fixed mindset by 25% for 4 months into the program. So maintaining that change of view is so important. That's as a fellowship because we work with folks throughout an entire school year. It's maintaining that level of enthusiasm, that level of engagement, which leads to that reduction in that fixed mindset throughout a year. Fuse teachers have students rated classroom cultures 10% more respectful, with students reporting less math anxiety. So from the teacher angle and from the student angle, where we're really working with everybody in the equation is how to maybe look at stress a little differently, look at anxiety a little differently, thinking through how our messages as adults either contribute to a reframe of stress or contribute to a negative view of stress, which does lead to that anxiety. So Fuse teachers have student rated classroom cultures 10% more respectful, with students reporting less math anxiety. In Fuse classrooms, students scored 15% higher on math tests 4 months into the program. So we do measure math performance throughout the fellowship. Students in teachers' classroom do interventions throughout the year. I'll talk more about those in a bit, but that we are seeing that leading to not only that reduction in anxiety and more confidence, more feeling of a sense of belonging and feeling at ease in the math classroom, but also higher math performance as well. And finally, Fuse has made math teachers 50% less likely to report feeling burnt out or wanting to quit. We're very excited about that data that we get, and that's we talk to teachers throughout their year, about some of these data points. But this 50% reduction in feeling burnt out and wanting to leave the profession, we measure that mainly in the spring. So any of you that have been on campuses or work with teachers, we know, and principals and everybody else, we know the spring semester is oftentimes where that level of stress does rise. And what we're seeing with our teachers in our fellowship is that compared to their peers who are not receiving the kind of support and the kind of engagement they see within the fellowship, that they're about half as likely feeling that sense of burnout at that point in the year. Okay, so like I said, today our goal is to really look at some of the nuts and bolts of what teachers experience in the fellowship. I'm going to be talking about this coming summer. So right now, I'm working with school districts mainly across Texas, but across other states and countries as well, about their teachers who are going to join the 26-27 cohort of the fellowship using the science of engagement. So what does it look like? We start with a 2.5-day, either in-person or virtual kickoff event. The in-person sessions will be here at UT Austin. We've got a great 2.5 days planned. Dr. Yeager will be there giving his science talks and working with teachers around using both his research and the research of Carol Dweck, Mary Murphy, Dan Willingham, other folks here at UT, to work with teachers as they come together, meet one another, see all the other teachers who are joining the program and building that network. So it starts with a great high energy 2.5-day event here in Austin. We've got, great lunches and swag, and we do a happy hour, all those kinds of things, really to get everybody excited about the fellowship, learn their first few practices, and get ready to start their school year right. So a little bit more about the summer launch PLI. So PLI is our Professional Learning Institute. That's what we call our sessions that we have with teachers. Again, like I said, June 16th through 18th, that will be this year's kickoff. And we're estimating probably about half the teachers will make the trip here to Austin. The other half are going to be participating through our online platforms. And we've really perfected, maybe not perfected, but we've really improved and grown our online facilitation over the last several years. So it's not like just watching a live stream of a conference. We've got active facilitators who are in our online sessions, who are building rapport and building a network with our teachers who are learning online as well. So it's very much an active participation, whether you are here in person in June or whether you are participating virtually. So you learn your first 3 practices of that summer PLI. Like I said, great high energy, lots of different activities, and a great blend of maybe learning some new science about engagement, but then also a few practical strategies to think through starting a school year in a way that is going to help your students, view your impression of them as very respectful and really seeking to take advantage of. We know their innate need is to feel that high status and high respect. So really thinking of ways to shape our language to start a school year on the right track. So that's how teachers all start. June 16th through 18th. It's best if we can hear from districts who are wanting teachers to join, by like early May at the latest. So we can start talking with your teachers, make sure they know all the ins and outs of the dates when they need to be there or be available, and don't feel like it's a last minute decision. So earlier the better, but we do take teachers right up until the day of the event. We don't want to turn anybody away that might want to participate. But as everybody knows, a few days or weeks to plan your summer is always a good thing to have. So we start off in June 16th through 18th, that's summer PLI. That is the only in-person event that we do throughout the year. Everything after that is taking place in our online platforms. We use Canvas as our learning management system and an online classroom called Engagely to facilitate our programs throughout the year. Once the school year starts, there's only 2 other days that teachers attend for full day virtual institutes. So they attend for 1 day in October, where they learn the next 2 practices of their first year in the fellowship. And then they attend for 1 day in February as well. That February date, we spend a lot of time thinking through how can we use what we've learned throughout this year as we enter into the spring semester, where oftentimes there's some high stakes assessments or performances, projects that we want to make sure that we're not forgetting all the things that we've learned in the summer and the fall, but really thinking through how can we use that new knowledge to create a wonderful culture of learning for our students as they head into what can sometimes be seen as a stressful part of the school year. So those are the only 2 full days that teachers would be out of their classrooms. So districts would cover the substitute costs for those days, but those are all virtual as well. In between those institutes, we do 4 coaching sessions. So these take place outside the school day. We give teachers multiple options during certain weeks of what time fits best with their schedule. So they either join early in the morning for the early birds. We start at 7 a.m., or they attend after school at 5:30. It's just nothing they really need to prepare for those. We pick one of the practices at each one to really focus on. So they get a time to talk with our facilitators as well as talk with each other about how implementation is going. What are some things they're noticing with their students? What are some things that maybe didn't land the way they thought it was going to, and might want to make some tweaks, or some things that landed really well, and they see some real change in their students and how they are kind of viewing themselves, and then they go back to thinking about how are we disrupting that cycle of disengagement. So like I said, 4 of these throughout the year. I really encourage all the fellows to attend all 4 so they can keep that engagement going. We really pride ourselves on being a fellowship and not like a one-time conference, professional development workshop that you go to and then get back into your daily work, and kind of it seems like a separate experience that you have. But instead, there's kind of a slow, steady drip that goes on throughout a school year. So you keep having opportunities to practice the things that you've learned. What teachers learn at Fuse, though, it's not anything that would change their actual like scope and sequence or their curriculum or the units and assessments they've already had planned. It's really a time to think through how am I framing my language with young people to make sure that my messages are being interpreted the way that I want them to be. How am I tapping into their innate need for status and respect? How am I talking about some of the practices that I already do, like interleaving or spiraling content? When I spiral content, how am I explaining that in a way that's not going to be misinterpreted and might turn somebody off? So very much, it's not a way to like a new way to teach a certain content. It's not a new pedagogy. It's really thinking of ways to structure a language so that pedagogy is more effective, or that curriculum is more effective, or students are more likely to come in for tutoring or retake a test, or actually do some of the revisions that they received on an English paper, things like that. And then the third piece of Fuse. So I always kind of talk about Fuse as a 3-legged stool. So one is the network that your teachers would generate and grow from. There's going to be other teachers from all across the country who are part of the fellowship. So they build a great group of colleagues that they can tap into and learn from throughout the year. So that's one leg. The other one is the teacher practices that they learn. So teachers learn 5 practices in their first year of Fuse that they can test out and try out and implement in their classrooms. Then the third piece are really what we call the student engagement modules. So those are 3 online interventions that the students do throughout the year. They take about 1 class period, and they really help the young people in our rooms learn a lot of the same concepts about adolescent engagement, about brain development, about memory retrieval that our teachers are learning throughout the fellowship as well. They're rewritten in student-friendly language. They're available in English and Spanish. They're also available through audio. But it helps them see that, okay, the reason my teacher is spiraling content, I'll come back to that, is not because he or she thought I wasn't paying attention the last time they did it. It's because that's how my brain is able to recall that information and make it more likely that I'll be able to remember that when it comes to an assessment. Or I'm less likely to make the same mistakes in April that I was making in October. They also learn about the idea that stress can be enhancing, not just debilitating. And how can we reframe that idea of stress? When I'm about to take a big exam or do a big performance and I feel those butterflies in my stomach, or my palms are sweaty, or my knees feel a little weak, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. It means that there's oxygen being pumped to my brain. It means that this is important to me, and I've been working hard and trying to improve myself in this way. And now I have this opportunity to perform. And by having that reframe, we don't need to see that feeling as something that either means we don't belong in this class or we don't belong in this advanced course. And it also isn't a feeling that we need to make go away. It's something we can help use to our advantage. And then we work with teachers to make sure that we're using language that helps the young people with that reframe of stress. So 3 modules students do throughout the year. Teachers receive reports after each one because we do ask the students some questions in these modules as well. And actually, this Thursday, I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm going to do another one of these Fuse Lives where we take a look at one of the reports that teachers receive. So if you are interested in our work and like what you're hearing, make sure you tune back in on Thursday. I'll send out a reminder on that, or the video recording will come out as well. But we ask the students questions like, my teacher believes all students can be successful, or students in my class feel comfortable making a mistake. My classroom feels rushed. We ask them, students in my class feel comfortable raising their hand. So a lot of perception questions that then teachers can see, are these changes I'm making in the way I talk to my students about mistakes, assessments, grades, certain practices that I do, are they having an impact on their perception of the level of support? Throughout Fuse, you'll hear us talk to teachers about maintaining a high level of rigor. A high level of standard is the best way to show respect to a teenager, to young people. But that's only going to work if they perceive that level of support to be matching that high standard. So high standard, high support. You'll hear that over and over again. We don't want to lower our standards. That's a sign of disrespect. It's a sign that we don't believe they can meet it. But the only way we're going to be successful and they're going to be successful if that perception of support matches that high expectation. One thing we're always super excited about as well is teachers in our program all earn $1,000 honorarium throughout the stipend honorarium throughout their time with Fuse. So they earn $500 at the end of the first semester, $500 at the end of the second. School districts or schools or campuses or whoever's sponsoring them pays the tuition for them to join. So we'll reach out to me afterwards. We'll talk about the different cost structures, things like that. But either way, teachers earn $1,000 out of what you pay us. We pay them back $1,000 for their contribution to the work. Okay, so that's the main kind of crux of what teachers, like what it looks like. Like I said, nuts and bolts wise or calendaring wise, that's what they do throughout the fellowship. I've got just a couple other things I just wanted to mention while we got your attention. One new piece that we've added this year is an executive leadership series. So all the principals, assistant principals, central office leaders of every Fuse district are invited to 4 sessions throughout the year. And this is an opportunity to learn many of the same things that teachers are learning throughout Fuse and ways to apply it as a leader. So probably in the notes of this video, I'll put a link to one we did earlier in this year with Dr. Yeager about behavioral science and leadership, and really thinking through ways to craft a message, and we have to have a difficult conversation with somebody on our team. And that's just a great example of what some of these sessions are. We just had one with Kevin Carroll, who is somebody that works with many universities and athletic programs, and is a great person around messaging, around thinking through when you set a vision or set a tone to start a school year, and how you can be intentional about how you maintain that level of engagement, enthusiasm throughout, the 9 or 10 months that you're going to want to maintain that throughout a year. The next one coming up is with Dr. Mary Murphy. So she is the author of Cultures of Growth. I'm a great member of our team as well, integral in the development of our work. Her and Dr. Yeager are going to be joining us April 15th for again, these are pretty informal, but just a brief talk about how, as a leader, we can use many of these ideas to build those strong cultures of growth on our campuses. If anybody would like to attend that, we're opening that last one open to anybody that wants to attend, but you do need to register. So you can go to our website, fuse.prc.utexas.edu, and register there. Or you can I'm about to share my email. You can send me an email. I'll make sure you get on the list. But really recommend, if you can, to hop into that. It gives you a great sense of kind of the leadership angles to our program as well. Again, that'll be April 15th, 2 to 3 p.m. We always record it. I should say 2026. But we'll record it and send it out to anybody as well. All right. So like I said, today was going to be quick. I just wanted to give some nuts and bolts. If what you're seeing is interesting, or you've seen some of our other videos and are ready to start signing up your teachers, the next steps really are just to reach out to us. You can either book a call with me and we can talk through the ins and outs. I can send you additional resources to take a deeper dive into the research, many of the practices that we have. Or you can email us at fuse@austin.utexas.edu. Kind of the steps to go after that. If this is intriguing, we'll send you a link for the MOU between UT Austin and your district, and then we can set up a live Q&A with teachers who might be interested, principals who want to learn more about what it would look like for their teachers, or any and all the above. So that's kind of the next steps. Like I said, I wanted to put this video together. I hope you have enjoyed it. But that's all I've kind of got for today. Really encourage you, if this intrigues you at all, to check out some of the other videos on our Substack here, go into a lot more detail on the research. But with that, it's been about 20 minutes. So we wanted this to be kind of short and sweet today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Reach out if this is intriguing, you think it might be a fit for your teachers in 26, 27. We would love for them to join us. Thank you, everybody.